Hello, and welcome to what I hope is the intro to a new series that I'm planning on doing. Before you can see Commands and Colours Napoleonics. Now, the Commands and Colours system has been around for quite a number of years. There are many games in the system. It started with Battle Cry, which was the American Civil War. I would think maybe 15, 16 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer than that. It came with a board similar to this, and terrain tiles, and some plastic miniatures, both Union and Confederate soldiers, cavalry, artillery, and leaders. They were about 1/72 scale, roughly, and it was a huge success. There was a scenario book, you could refight various battles or parts of battles, and the system proved to be easy to learn and a lot of fun to play. And from there they went to I'm not sure the order, but there was Battle Law, which was a fantasy game, which again had miniatures, plastic miniatures. Ancients, which was a block game. You used blocks with stickers that you attached, but again the same board, or different colour, but the same board, terrain tiles. And Ancients has a huge following. In fact, I think there's about 5 or 6 expansions to that. It probably rivals Napoleonics in popularity, although I don't own a copy of it myself. I know it's incredibly popular. What else was there? Was also the First World War and the Second World War, with the Great War and Memoir 44. They went into the future with Red Alert. I do have that one. That's got beautiful models. The First and Second World War ones, they too had plastic models. Other block games, there's been Tricorn, which is set in the American War of Independence. That's now got an expansion called the French and More, which has added the French army and more bits and pieces to it. There's from that a spin-off called Jacobite Rebellion, which is more or less the same period, but of course set in Scotland during the Jacobite rebellions. So you can do everything from Killiecrankie to the Battle of Culloden, I believe. The samurai battles, so you can fight medieval samurai battles. They've just started now with a medieval series, although it's very early medieval from what I can see and what I've read on it. It more or less butts up to the end of the Ancients. So if you're a fan of the Ancients system from whatever BC right up to 400, 500 AD, then you're moving into the realms of Commands and Colours Medieval, which starts very early. I think it's the Byzantians and somebody else, Romans and things. So you'll eventually be able to carry straight on. And I would imagine in later expansions for Medieval, they'll go into early, mid and late medievals. So you'll get such things as the Crusades, you'll get Cressy, Agincourt, maybe the Barons' War, all them sort of things I'm sure are in the pipeline. And there are other iterations of the Commands and Colours system, which is incredibly popular. But the series I want to do is on the game before you, and that's Commands and Colours Napoleonics. Now, it's not a game for everyone, the Commands and Colours system. It's not a game for everyone. Some people like the plastic miniatures, some people like the blocks, some people don't like harder. And a proper grognard is probably going to look down his nose as a simulation, but it's not really a simulation, as a game of Napoleonics. If you're a devotee of such things as the hex and counter games like Le Bataille, where they've got Mont Saint-Jean, I think there's Austerlitz, there's Battle de Moscow, where Dresden, with thousands of counters, beautiful scale maps. The maps are so beautiful you could frame them and put them on the wall, accurate to exactly as the area was at that time. And all those counters represent everything, every regiment, every battery, everything you could think of. But as you can imagine, something like that is very, very crunchy, very, very time consuming to learn, and one hell of a job to set up, I would think, and play. It's for the hardcore. It really is. It really is. You've got to be dedicated, not only just to learn the rules, but to play something like that. The other end of the spectrum, the miniature wargamers. Now, would they use a game like this? Possibly. Miniature wargaming, again, it's a lifelong hobby, especially whatever period you choose, but Napoleonics, just buying and painting all the figures, and you don't just slap paint on, they have got to be 100% authentic. They model every regiment, the colour of the cuffs and the turn-ups, the regimental flag, everything is modelled and is accurate. And when you see a miniatures game on the table, laid out with thousands of troops, well, it's just a sight to... It's just awe-inspiring. It's beautiful. Now, would they play a game like this? Maybe, because they could use these hexes. If they didn't want to set up one of these games that takes, I don't know, how many hours to set up and maybe a weekend to play, they want to use some of their beautiful figures. Instead of using the blocks that come with this game, they could put some of their beautifully painted figures down on these hexes and use them in place. So yeah, I can see a miniature wargamer coming to this for a quick and dirty battle, so he can at least get his troops on the table. The map itself, and the maps in most of them, are pretty much of a muchness. Let me just move this box a moment. It's standard fare, so many hexes across and so many hexes deep. Now, trying to get a battle like Waterloo or Austerlitz or Borodino on here, well, it's just not going to happen, is it? But what they tend to do, and it's quite a clever system, is they break battles down in the scenario books into maybe the left wing or the right wing or the 9 p.m, what was happening at 9 p.m, and again what was happening maybe at 11 p.m. Now, a map like this with terrain and hexes is never going to be as accurate as one of those beautiful maps which I mentioned before, like in Le Bataille, Dresden or something like that. It's never going to be like that. It's never going to be 100% accurate. By the very nature of the beast, you're using little cardboard hexes to create your battlefield. But what it does do, although it's having to compress the field to fit this board, the salient points, the main points, the villages, the hills or the ridges, the forests, the rivers, are included. They won't probably be exact, they're not going to be to scale or exactly correct, but it's a good representation of them. Enough for the casual wargamer to play a quick game. The rules are pretty easy to learn. Each of them systems and the commands and colour system is basically the same. There is some tweaks with it to give it the theme of the period, whether it's the Romans against Carthage, whether it's Napoleon against Wellington. Whatever the theme is, you feel like you're playing that when you're playing the game because the rules are done that way out. But if you can play one of those games, with 5 or 10 minutes quick study of the rule book, you can play any of them because they're all much of a muchness. Very, very similar in how they play. Now in this series, what I intend to do is look at each, this is concentrating on Napoleonics, not the other set, the other games, is look at what comes with the game. Not unboxing, there's a shed load of them on the internet if you want to watch them. I don't want to just be reaching out a bag of coloured blocks and a load of stickers and Well, that's no use. Well, it is. I mean, it's nice to see what's in the box. But no, what I'll do is I'll show you the blocks with stickers on, which seems to make more sense. Show how they're laid out. Let's show you warts and all, and I shall give you the pros and cons of what I think to the system, and the bits that come with it. Now, Commands and Colours, since this first edition, well, this isn't, this is third printing, this is printed in 2016, but it's evolved greatly. And if I just turn the camera slightly, you can see here the expansions that come with this game. I'll zoom in a little bit. You can see the first expansion. Well, let's start. No, I'm not going to, because I'm going to just save that for when we get to the actual looking at each box. But you can see from top to bottom, in order, in sequence that they were published, is the Spanish, then the Russian, the Austrian, and the Prussian armies. Following that is General Marshals and Tacticians, which changed up the game quite a bit and corrected a lot of the faults and criticism of the earlier game, the initial core set. Changed a lot of things up and sort of backdated new rules and things in there, which then went back right to the core set, going through all the others, upgrading them. And finally, at the moment, number 6 is the Epic Napoleonics, which gives you 2 more boards. The Epic is about twice the size of this board, what we're looking at now, about twice the size of that. And Le Grand Batal is, I believe, something like 5-6 feet wide. It's huge. So this, where before everything was having to be compressed to fit onto this small map, it's going to be less compressed now. It's still not going to be 100% accurate, never will be, with tiles and blocks to represent troops. It's never going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to be good enough. So what I shall do in the next episode of this series, I'll lay out some of the things that comes in the core set, and we can have a look at that, discuss it, and basically I'll tell you what's good, what's bad, and what's ugly. Yeah, I'll do it in my ordinary style. I don't do scripts. I'm just talking as I'm talking to a friend and people who are interested in this type of thing, people like-minded in themselves. So you'll get lots of ums and ahs, and you'll get mistakes, because I'm old. I forget things. I'll probably repeat myself. But if you don't mind my relaxed style, then that's what we'll do. We'll go through all the boxes, and eventually, once we've done all that, we shall start playing some of the scenarios. I won't do a blow-by-blow account, a dice roll by dice roll. I'll do a kind of after-action report type thing with just come to the game board at various points during the battle to say what's gone on, who's doing what, etc., etc. And if we come to a key part of a battle, well, yeah, fine, I can show a few rolls of the dice and how things go, and we'll take it from there. So anyway, thanks for watching this. As I say, this is just the intro. The next episode will be focusing on this box in front of you, the core set. It's got 15 battles in it. It's basically the British, the French and the Portuguese in the early part of the peninsula, which took place actually in Portugal. And then we'll go from there. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you in the next episode. Bye for now.